Ronald was having a great time diving when he saw a weird creature at the bottom of the sea. Curious, he decided to take a closer look and picked it up, but that turned out to be a big mistake. When he touched the creature, his fingers felt strange and tingly. At first, he didn't think much of it, but a few days later, Ronald started feeling really sick. He felt nauseous, tired, and even had a fever. Worried, he went to see a doctor. However, the doctor didn't believe his story at first. When the doctor saw Ronald, he looked very serious. After asking Ronald some questions, the doctor left the room and told Ronald and his girlfriend, Melissa, to wait there. A little while later, Lay returned with some really surprising news. "I'm sorry, but you can't leave this building," he told Ronald. Ronald was really shocked, especially when a security guard came in and took hold of him, leading him into the elevator. "Melissa, don't let them take me," he shouted, but she couldn't do anything to stop them. Melissa was left all alone, feeling really scared and wondering what was going to happen to Ronald. The doctor hadn't told her anything except that it was really serious. But why was Ronald so sick? What were they going to do to help him? "And I'll win if I get to the boat first," Ronald said to Melissa as he dashed off ahead, trying to get a head start to the boat. "That's not fair. You're cheating," Melissa shouted after him. They were having such a great time on their first trip together, and they had no idea that everything was about to go wrong. Ronald and Melissa had been a couple for a few months, and because they shared a passion for diving, they planned a trip to the Caribbean together. Their adventure had been going smoothly so far, and they had already marveled at some stunning sights beneath the waves. On this specific day, they decided to explore one of the nearby uninhabited islands. Although deserted, it was a popular spot for tourists like Ronald and Melissa. Renting a small boat, they anchored it just a few feet away from the shore. However, they didn't feel like returning to the hotel yet, so they decided to spend a few more hours on the island. Ronald dove into the water and kept swimming until he reached the bottom of the ocean. It wasn't that deep here because they were close to the shore. As he looked around, he suddenly had an idea. He felt like if he wanted to impress Melissa, he needed to do something special and dive deeper. He swam deeper into the ocean, keeping a close eye on the seabed underneath him. The further he swam from the island in their boat, the deeper it became. The colorful reefs slowly became thinner until they completely disappeared, and Ronald felt like he might have made a mistake. He wasn't going to find anything special here, he realized, and he started swimming back in the direction of the boat where Melissa was waiting for him. He had already found her crazy random thing and had swum back to the surface. That was when she noticed Ronald was nowhere to be seen. However, just as he was about to accept that his mission had failed, he saw something odd at the bottom of the ocean. He didn't know what it was, and he'd never seen it before. At that moment, he knew that this was it. This was how he impressed Melissa. It was also how he would get locked up in a hospital room. But we'll get to that later. He did right to this strange sea creature enter, and he grabbed it, holding it tightly but carefully, making sure it wouldn't slip away from his hands while he swam back to the surface. "I'm definitely going to win this round," he yelled to his girlfriend. And yes, he indeed was going to win this round, but he was also going to regret it extremely. Before he had even come up to the surface, he felt a strange tingling sensation in his hand, the hand in which he was holding this strange creature. He should have known better at this point, but of course, he ignored the feeling. He swam up to Melissa, and she showed him her treasure, which was a beautiful shell still completely intact. "Look, isn't it beautiful?" she asked him, obviously proud of what she had found. "Wow, it really is," he told her. He waited for her to ask him what he had found. He couldn't wait to show her. When she finally laid eyes on it, she gasped. "What is that?" she asked, to which Ronald admitted that he actually had no idea. "But as soon as I saw it, I was immediately drawn to it. I just could not pick it up," he explained, an obvious lie. "Okay, you win this round," Melissa laughed, as she saw that he was really impressed by the creature he had found. And even though she didn't think it was better than her shell, she didn't want to ruin his fun. "Let's go back to the hotel. I'm getting hungry." In the following days, they both enjoyed themselves greatly. They ate delicious food, went on a couple more trips around the island, and watched beautiful sunrises and sunsets. Everything seemed perfect until one day, Ronald started feeling a bit sick. He was suddenly nauseous and extremely tired. At first, they thought he had eaten something wrong and maybe gotten food poisoning, but they soon realized that probably wasn't the case. Both of them had eaten the same things, and if he was sick because of the food, why wasn't Melissa? She was feeling great, and she even went to a nearby pharmacy to get him some medicine. She urged her boyfriend to go see a doctor, but he didn't like doctors, and he kept saying, "I'm fine. It will be better tomorrow. I already feel it." However, that was a lie. He only felt worse. And after a couple of days, when it was obvious that the medicine wasn't working, he finally gave in. She called them a taxi, and not much later, they sat in the car on their way to the doctor's office. The driver had been hesitant about letting them in his car, which he couldn't really blame him for. Ronald looked absolutely horrible. He was dripping with sweat, shivering, and he was extremely pale. Just luckily, Melissa had some extra cash on her, and as soon as the driver saw that, he didn't mind anymore. He even gave her a plastic bag just in case Ronald became sick in his car. About 10 minutes later, they finally arrived at the doctor's office. Ronald still had no idea why he was feeling so sick, and he thought he just had caught an extreme version of the flu. He had difficulty in breathing, skin irritation, pain, and swelling. The couple was asked to take a seat in the waiting room until the doctor called their name, so that's what they did. As soon as the doctor walked into the waiting room and laid eyes on Ronald, he said, "Oh my, you really don't look well." Ronald couldn't even walk by himself anymore, so Melissa and the doctor helped him get up and dragged him into the doctor's office. When they had finally placed him on the bed, the doctor said, "Before I forget, my name is Dr. Matthews. Now what happened to you, Ronald?" He asked both him and Melissa a couple of questions, and they told him everything they had done in the past few days. Dr. Matthews knew what he was looking for, and he wasn't interested in anything they had eaten or drank. He had seen more people show up at his office with the same symptoms like Ronald, and he had a feeling about what might be wrong. However, he wasn't going to tell them that just yet. After what felt like a quick interrogation, the doctor said, "Wait here, I'll be right back," and he left the room. Melissa was getting very worried now, and she put her hand on Ronald's forehead. He was burning up with a fever. Is what was happening to him suddenly? He returned with a security guard. "I'm sorry, but we have to keep you here for a couple of days," he said. They whisked Ronald away to a hidden room, leaving Melissa in a state of utter panic. Where had they taken Ronald? Would he be all right? But the doctor wouldn't give her any answers. He simply stated that it was a matter of life and death, and Ronald had to face the consequences of his actions. She had no clue what was happening or if she'd ever see her boyfriend again. It turned out that the creature Ronald found was a poisonous sea cucumber. The doctor promptly gave him the medicine he needed, and soon enough, Ronald felt like his old self. He and Melissa enjoyed the remainder of their vacation, but they decided to refrain from picking up anything else from the ocean floor. What do you think of this story? Have you ever encountered a sea cucumber? How was your experience? Let us know in the comments section. Thank you.